Welcome back to the channel. We're back with our Commander deck profile today with Dr. Eggman. For 2, a blue, a black, and a red, you get 3/6 with flying. But his main ability is at the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then each opponent faces a villainous choice. That player discards a card, or you may put a construct, robot, or vehicle from your hand onto the battlefield. So we have a little bit of draw power there, a little bit of a way to make our opponents face a choice of, do I put myself behind in order to stop him from getting ahead? Um, so we do run quite a few vehicles in hopes that our opponents will, let us put those vehicles onto the battlefield. Some transformers, as those are all either constructs or robots. Some other good constructs that just have some good enter the battlefield abilities, and then just some things that'll benefit off of our opponent discarding cards in here. This way, if they do choose these time to put themselves behind it instead of putting us ahead, we can still get that benefit off that. But that's the general overview of the deck. Let's get into it card by card. Arcane Signet for a little bit of mana there. Blitzwing, Cruel Tormentor. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. No life was lost this way, convert him into Blitzwing, Adaptive Assailant. Living Metal, so he's still a creature. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose Flying or Indestructible at random. Gains that ability till end of turn. And if he deals combat damage, transform him again. So, either way, a good source of damage to your opponent. Cybership. When it deals combat damage to a player, put the top 2 cards of that player's library onto the battlefield face down under our control. 2/2 Cybermen. So, another way to put our opponent behind just a little bit. Doesn't need to deal combat damage, though it does have the flying. And it does put enough on the battlefield in order to crew itself again the next turn. Deluxe Dragster. Can't be blocked except by vehicles, so another way to swing in, because most people don't run too many vehicles at least. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant sorcery from that player's graveyard without paying its mana cost. So basically a free spell, maybe an extra turn spell, depending on what we got. I mean, oftentimes the people running the extra turn spells aren't running vehicles, so that could be infinite turns for you. Well, actually, exile, never mind. Demonic Junker, affinity for artifacts, so oftentimes you're just going to play that one, or you're just going to get onto the battlefield for free with Eggman's ability. When this vehicle enters, for each player, destroy up to 1 target creature that player controls. If a creature you control was destroyed this way, put 2 1/1 counters on this vehicle. Oftentimes, it's just an easy way to destroy your opponent's stuff. Gets Grimoire. When our opponent discards a card, we draw a card. Good source of draw power there. Jackdaw. Deal combat damage to a player, discard your hand, draw that many cards. For each artifact you control, so you could potentially discard 1, draw a whole bunch, depending on how many you have. And we have 24 artifacts in this deck, just on the artifact tab here alone. Lightning Grease to make sure Eggman could swing the turn he comes in, because maybe you could get some commander damage off, but also that protection on there is nice. Mechadragon Core, exile this card, and 4 other artifact, creature, or vehicles you control. Create Mechadon, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature token with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste to all colors. When token leaves the battlefield, return all cards exiled with this card onto your battlefield under your control. So it could be a potential, just a big thing to swing in on your opponents with if we have a whole bunch of things that we don't really care about keeping around for a little bit. Or just things that we want the ETB abilities of again. Midnight Crusader Shuttle. When this attacks, defending player faces another villainous choice. We have quite a few villainous choices in here. We're going to go with the theme. That player sacrifices a creature, or you gain control of the creature, and untap it. Sorry, if you gain control of that creature, tap it, and then attacks that player. Yep. Novelate chip enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. May deal combat damage to a player, put a creature card, exile this way onto your battlefield. Just a super good vehicle on that end, stealing from your opponent once again. Reaver Titan, not a good vehicle, protection, mana value 3 or less, meaning that your opponent can't target it with most forms of removal. When Reaver Titan attacks, it deals 5 damage to each opponent. Another good source of damage there, and also board wipes. It is pretty resilient too, because it's not a creature most times. Vandal Blast, you have to watch out for it with this deck a whole bunch. RMS Titanic, deal combat damage to player, sacrifice it, create that many treasure tokens, potentially 7 if your opponent doesn't block it. It's a lot of treasure tokens. Sky Sovereign Console Flagship, deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls. A little bit of removal there for your opponent's weaker stuff. Slicer, Hard Muscle, keep passing around, keep dealing more and more damage to each of our opponents as they have to attack each other with it. Or it's Transform State, First Strike Haste, deal combat damage to player, convert it. But it's just going to be the first side that we're just going to keep handing to our opponents because they can't attack us with it. Soul Ring, Another good source of mana there. Scar Scream, Power Hungry. Whenever you draw a card, if you're the Monarch, target opponent loses 2 life. We're not going to really beat a Monarch too often. Whenever one or more creatures deals combat damage to you, convert Starscream. Flying, Menace Haste. Deal combat damage to a player. If there's no Monarch, that player becomes the Monarch. So, yeah, pretty good ability there. Swiftfoot Boots for some additional protection on our commander. Tergrid, Guard of Fright. Whenever an opponent discards a card, we get to put that onto our battlefield, essentially. That's the only part that we really care about, because, we could steal from our opponent just a little bit more. Falcon Airship Restored. Sacrifice it, return target creature card from your grave to the battlefield when it deals combat damage to a player. Super good ability there, helping us recur our Tergrid Guard of Fright, because most people are probably going to try to remove that. Because it's either discard your card, give us that card, or, let us get Slicer onto the battlefield or something else. Not the Indomitable Rex. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So a little bit of draw power there. This way, more and more vehicles into our hand, more and more to put onto the battlefield. Regalia, more ways to search out some more mana. Thunderhawk Gunship, enters the battlefield, create two tokens with Vigilance, which is, all that you need to crew this, which is one of them. Attacking creatures gain flying till end of turn. And the Weatherlight. Deals combat damage to player, look top 5 of your library, reveal a historic card, aka one of our other vehicles, put into our hand. And this way it's even harder for our opponent to face that villainous choice going forward. For our creatures, we have Chaos Defiler. It's a construct, which has, when it enters the battlefield or dies, for each opponent choose a non-land permanent player controls, destroy one at random. Cityscape Leveler, another construct that we could easily get onto the battlefield there. Whenever attacks, destroy to one target non-land permanent, more sources removal there. Coalstone Gearhulk, another construct. Whenever a creature enters, put target creature card with mana value 4 or less from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Finality counter on it. Gains Menace, Death Touch, Haste. Beginning of your next end step, exile that creature. It's going to tend to be our opponent's deck because we don't really have that many things with that mana value requirement. But, a couple, but not many, and our opponents will tend to. Combustible Gearhulk, look at the top 3. Your opponents either put them into a graveyard. Your opponent either lets you Mildry, dealing a whole bunch of damage to them, or you get to draw a drain. It's also a construct, easy to get onto the battlefield there. Cybertroll, artifact creatures get hexproof, also a construct, also an easy way to make sure that our stuff can't be targeted. Cyberdrive Awakener, make all of these vehicles and all of these 24 artifacts into 4/4s with flying to swing in on our opponent. Foundry Inspector for a little bit of cost reduction there. Goldbiz Crystal Collector, beginning of your end stem, control 4 more artifacts, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. To your hand. We only have 16 creatures, but it could still come in handy, because we're going to have plenty of artifacts on the battlefield. And then your opponent loses life if you have 8 or more on the battlefield. Speaking of ways to get plenty of artifacts on the battlefield, we have Mirror Battlesphere. Enters, create 4 1/1s. Oh, also Golbez is, I think, the only one in here that does not. Oh, well, Y'shtola is in here too. As I said, I think he's one of the only ones that doesn't meet the requirement of the construct of vehicle or robot. Another easy one to get onto the battlefield with Dr. Eggman's ability. Noxious Gearhulk, another form of removal. A little bit of life gain there as well. Oil Deep Gearhulk. Once a creature enters, look at the top target player's hand. You may choose a card from it. If you do, that player discards that card, then you draw a card. Another way to make our opponent discard some cards, also a construct. So it works out really well. Is that one from? Yeah, it's also from Aether Drift. Padim, another way to give our stuff a hexproof in order to make sure they're protected. A little bit of draw power there, making it harder for our opponent to face that villainous choice. Scrawling Crawler, which is actually, I love running this in a whole bunch of decks. I'm actually surprised it was a construct, but making your opponent take damage for drawing cards, allowing you a little bit of extra draw power there. Valley Yard. If an opponent would face a villainous choice, that player faces that choice in an additional time. We don't really care about the voting on that. But yeah, let us hit 2 constructs rather than just the 1. Dot Monitor, another construct we get onto the battlefield for a little bit more draw power. Stroller Rule, why do Dr. Eggman's ability once when we can do it twice, along with also blinking a creature while we're at it. For our enchantments, we have Liliana's Crest. When our opponent discards a card, that player loses 2 life. Good way to deal some damage to our opponent for making them discard those cards. Same thing with Megram, Mirrored and Besieged. If there are 15 or more artifacts in our graveyard, target opponent loses the game. At the beginning of our end step, you know, it's a way to take one player out if we don't have anything else. Raiders Wake, when an opponent discards a card, they lose 2 life. Nice to see it. And makes their opponent discard more and more cards. Adopter Spy Network, some more tokens onto the battlefield, some more draw power. And then waste not. Give us some more benefits off of our opponents discarding those cards. We like to see it. I didn't put lands in here because I never go through them anyway. But I always like to say you guys can spend $20 on lands, you can spend $100 on lands. It's all up to what you want to do. Offer you can't refuse for Counterspell, Arcane Denial, Counterspell, Mana Drain, Negate, all those are counterspells. Chaos War for some removal, Dark Ritual for some extra mana, Desynchronization, return each non-land, non-historic permanent to its owner's hand, aka all of our opponent's stuff and almost none of ours. Terminate, destroy a target creature, it can't be regenerated. Good way to source removal there. This is how it ends. Target creature's owner shuffles it into their library, faces another villainous choice: either lose 5 life, or they shuffle another creature they own into their library. Depends what they have. Could be a really hard choice. Blasphemous Act for some more board wipes there. Ensnared by Mara. Another villainous choice we have here. They exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card. May play the card without paying its mana cost. That player exiles the top 4 cards of their library, and Entranced by Mara deals damage equal to the total mana value of those exiled cards to that player. Oof, could be a difficult choice. Fabricate gets your favorite artifact out of your deck and into your hand. Great Intelligence Plan, draw 3 cards. Target opponent faces another villainous choice, discard 3 card, or you may play a spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. What do we want? Basically the same thing as we're going to get with Eggman anyway. Dotcast for some more draw power. Oh, sorry, their name is that. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. aka most of our opponents have, almost none of ours, except for Dr. Eggman. He's not an artifact himself, despite having that giant robot car. Toxic Deluge and Vandalblast for those board wipes. But that's the video there. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys like to see another Commander deck profile, leave it down there in the comment section. We'll do our best to get to it within the next week or two. But yeah, hope you have a great rest of the day.